The quest for absolute power. Is the EU good for Britain? The recent EU debate in the British Parliament proved that there are many very brave men and women, MPs, who are willing to defy government dictates and take the personal hit to their careers for the good of the nation. And we must not forget that. Hi, my name is Barry Thornton, and I have been involved in current events. I'm what we would call a historian, because I've been studying that subject passionately since the age of about 11 or 12, so if you count all the time it's 40 odd years, and I started to study biblical prophecy back in the 1960s. That makes that another 48 years. So I'm 68. Whips employed truly thuggish, anti-democratic behaviour and denied the public a hearing. We have been waiting for this for ages, and we got 100,000 signatures together at the first opportunity. The extent of the abuse by the whips were revealed by MP after MP. No apology, which he hasn't, given by the Right Honourable David Cameron PM, can hide the appalling thuggish behaviour employed by his whips, who apparently were threatening MPs, threatening their careers, threatening to have them deselected from their constituencies at the next election. The quest for absolute power is ongoing. If you didn't understand what was going on in the background of those debates in Parliament the other day, those who said they were supported the concept yet decided not to support the motion, the reasons given by those MPs who did not support the motion yet supported the concept did not make sense. They sounded like mindless souls who had lost their way. The reasons given for voting against the motion clearly came from the words given by the whips, and they parroted those words to make it look ridiculous. But some brave MPs revealed the extent of these threats and the confrontation by the whip. This is not the democratic way. What happened was not democracy. It clearly wasn't. It was not democracy in action, but resembled the type of action dictators like Hitler and others used on rubber-stamp parliaments. No, it was not democratic. Many of these younger and more shamefully the older men and women were cowed by the three-line whip. What happens to this country when they have to face up to a real problem? They are shown up as physical and moral cowards. Where were the local MPs? I have a local MP, the Right Honourable Michael Gove. They were absent. I could not get hold of him from my return overseas on holiday from Friday till Tuesday when the debate started. No one was actually in his office to take the calls. I contacted him on Friday and said, I can't contact anybody. Can I send him an email at that local office? And he said, no, I've got to send it to these offices. So I sent 6 emails with 6 signatures of different individuals on them. But no one was there to receive them, even though I was told there would be. I contacted the local office again on Tuesday, and they confirmed I could send it there, although, as I said, I was already told I couldn't. The brave 111 MPs who ignored the bully boy tactics, two of these people sacrificed their positions in government. They defied the three-line whip, but many considered their careers before the good of the nation and were cowed by the three-line whip. These are the people who really should have our derision. Honour the 111 who voted for Britain against those who have sold us out. We must honour the 81 Conservative MPs, plus the Labour MPs like Kate Hoey and those in other parties, making a total of 111 who stood up to be counted for British independence. We've given half the world independence, now we're losing our own. Isn't this ridiculous? Who ignore the demands of their leadership. And they stood out against the out-of-touch ruling elite. The whole EU project has been assembled right from the word go, from Heath, by lies and deceit, right from the word go. There is now a poll for all common votes to be in secret, so the power of the whips are curtailed. What an excellent idea. It's about time it was. We have been sold down the river from the word go. without reference to us the people. No, the generation of MPs would do this to the British people. It's because we have lost our moral compass, and this is because we no longer believe in anything. Before our MPs believed biblically, they had the Ten Commandments right under their shoulder, or under their arm most of the time. But today they don't have it. These men and women right from Heath have handed over 75% of our lawmaking to an unrepresented, anti-democratic Brussels, dominated by 86% Catholics. I have a lot of friends who are Catholics, but I don't want to adopt their principles, and that is what we're being forced to do. We are a Protestant country who chucked over the papal things. So it is so corrupt, that EU, that they have the books have not been signed for over 15 years in a row by the EU auditors, because, as they say, up to 95% of the EU budget is unaccounted for, missing. Now, that is really truly terrible. We abandoned our kith and kin. For those who care about Britain, we have suffered the greatest commercial defeat of any nation in history. They stripped us of our Commonwealth preferences. Anyone buying fair trade food can see the huge price difference. We traded with our former empire that loved and respected us, and with whom we had a common language and laws. They were so much loved and respected, they stayed in the Commonwealth with the Queen as head. What are the nations? 75% of our laws are past impressions. Who gave us this EU gave us nearly 200,000 laws in industrial efficiency, but few of us even know they're there or could read or know them, even if we got hold of them. Even the MEPs can't read them. MEPs have no time to read them at all, or and if they vote against it, they're pulled up to the Commission, and the Commission is not voted in by us, and asked, well, they're not team players. Well, that's just too bad. It's about time we realise we've got to get out this monstrosity. These laws, about as thick as the London Yellow Pages or telephone directory, appear twice a week in language that only some highly qualified lawyer can understand. We are and will be required to obey them. What on earth have these politicians done to our formerly free people? And when we ask them, it's always too late now, but they never ever told us it was going to happen. Why didn't they stop it at the time? And then they say it's a beneficial crisis, this huge problem. And I'll tell you why. EU has overloaded business with red tape. The Taxpayers Alliance say it's cost this nation an additional $118.5 billion a year. We have a huge $3 billion deficit yearly, which has recently in the last year exploded to $53 billion. Now, that is a huge trading loss. Britain and the British economy is in ruins. Yet our elite rulers of the EU call this a beneficial crisis. How can it be beneficial? This sounds crazy, but look at the evidence. Now, this is going to sound truly crazy. Many of us have known about the plan for years, and the evidence is now before our very eyes. The plan entails the crashing of all the economies and make things so bad that we will vote for anyone who says they can have an answer. And that way they intend to put us together in one currency throughout Europe. So the British currency has also got to be destroyed. So Cameron is over there probably offering more billions. What can we do? Please visit this site here. Time wasting and crazy laws. Right now they pass laws that make it difficult to run a business. A friend of the family has 6 court cases going on because of all the red tape. If you're not caught on one thing, sure enough, you'll be caught on another. So crazy is the law. Our prisons are full of hundreds of thousands of prisoners because we made so many laws. Not because these people are really bad, it's just because they made so many laws it's very difficult to stay outside of Britain. We've got crisis after crisis. Once they have brought us to our knees and we have signed our rights away, which is actually what's happening, they will lift out all this legislation, which is crazy and holding business down, red tape all over the place. That's the plan to get the economies going. But we, as an independent people, will have ceased to exist, and we will be under the jackboot of the EU. And another crisis about to develop. A few even know. A huge war in the Middle East involving Iran, Turkey, Israel. The first participants of all this have started to fall as prophesied: Egypt, Libya and Ethiopia, named in the Bible. This will drag in China, who are allied to Iran. For those of us who study these things, this plan has been around and known about for ages. Proof of EU is in the Bible. The plan is very advanced. The leaders of this plan, the very wealthy and powerful, influential Bilderbergers, part of the Skull and Crossbones Society, like President Bush and his father, the Council for Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral Commission, to name a few of these organizations. The Trilateral Commission's whole focus was to break the world into three areas. The one was Europe and Africa, the other was America, North America and South America, and the other one was Asia and the Asia and Australian regions. That is their plan. They say that's easier to rule. So we can get a picture of what's going on. Now we've got, prophecy shows that they think they have it under control. But as they get into the underground bunkers, when things get out of control, they'll realize they've made a huge mistake. Because these other nations will play along until they realize that we have weakened ourselves so much that there's every chance of the British and the Americans being defeated. How can Britain be so bankrupt along with nearly every other country? They will own everything as it happens in Greece, the banks. Ask yourself, as Greece is being loaded with debt, how can they hope to pay it off if all their biggest money spinners are being sold off to the banks? Greece should default. Britain should leave the EU and get control back of our government. What are they? Even Mr. Portillo said, I suddenly realized the other night, he was on the week, that we are actually bailing out not Greece but the banks. Taxed out of existence. The Bible, which is an end-time book, confirms this nation will be financially destroyed by this EU grouping. Already the EU is moving against the City of London, our last great enterprise, so we'll have nothing, and our weak government has signed up to this agreement and the city into oblivion in London. The fact was revealed in the EU debate just the other night. Can you imagine that our politicians... What happened to British manufacturing utilities? They've been sold. We have sold off all our major industries. Even gas and electricity utilities are held by the EU, so we have no control over pricings. They have increased by 8 times in this last month per customer. So we're looking at £144 they're making per customer. The British government has signed up to move British banking operation into Europe, as Enoch Powell said. And he has been proven right. Those the gods wish to destroy, they will make mad first. We have gone stark staring mad. As a nation, we need to do what our forefathers did at Dunkirk. Call on the Heavenly Father to help us, as we did so often in the past. There was more than 3 miracles there. First, it was the calm sea. Then there was the storm over the nearby airports. The Luftwaffe could not fly, but from Germany to bomb our people on the beaches. The German army was ordered to consolidate because of logistical problems, and then Hitler went to bed. So none of these orders could be changed. Our leaders are part of the problem, and many are part of the above-mentioned secret organizations, including Tony Blair, who admitted he was a Bilderberger in the Book of Interests at Parliament. So are Mandelson, who is pictured there, and also Clark, Wilhelmina, Kissinger, were photographed by the BBC and others at these secret meetings. In this short video, I've only been able to scratch the surface. I would suggest you visit yahwehnews.com and see more. Today, the EU looks and feels more and more and resembling the short-lived, destructive, world-dominating end-time beast of Revelation and Daniel. See the video said Ages of Man in Prophecy on yahwehnews.com. Then there is another video I'd like you to see, is Judgment on America, and just listen to that whole thing and realize what's happened since that happened. And another book that will prove to you that there is a Heavenly Father interfering in world events today, and it's called in the book Eye to Eye. Go to that video, at least that website there. And then of course visit the other website, BibleandCurrentEvents.com, to see more. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this. It's nothing to enjoy, actually. It is an absolute disaster.